All right, folks, we're back like we never left. Another small cap review here for you. Just got a couple names that I thought were interesting and wanted to go over. We'll start with um, the biggest gainer on the long side today, MBOT. This is a name that I traded, and I'll talk specifics on that when we get to it. But um, this was interesting to me because it fit a lot of the criteria that we're typically looking for in a day one gapper. The gap was about 20%, which is what we like to see, kind of that lower gap percentage. And then on the daily chart, we had a ton of pivots down. What is this even over there? We have a ton of pivots down here that it was opening right on top of, and in the pre-market was testing and respecting. Then also, pre-market structure was nice. I appreciate how we had the nice big volume on the move up, and then really not a lot of volume yet. Made this kind of lower high push and a little bit more elevated volume, but over on the pre-market, light volume after the initial push. And with that, immediately you could see that we were going to get a ton more volume in the open market than we did in the pre-market. That 4-to-1 volume ratio we're looking at, before we even get into the chart. Let's take a look at this. So volume in pre-market was 4.3 million, and after, first 2 minutes, it's already at 6 million, and then of course it's going to be a ton more if we make it 10:30, that first hour, 75 million. So way more volume. That's what we really like to see. And really the volume is what made me get interested early. I'll just flash this for a moment, just a little proof of concept, show I'm not BSing anyone on the stuff. Some of my trades here I got in at 120, well, just under 129, and was able to hold some up until the 180s. So like I said, what I was looking for was these levels to hold at the open. When it did make the strong move up, that is, you know, not ideal for me. It makes it less likely for me to be in this trade. But like I said, I liked the strong volume. And as it made the second push up here to this initial daily level, taking out the pre-market highs, it was again even more volume. So pretty much from these two candles, I knew that the 4-to-1 volume ratio that I'm looking for was going to be on, and matched with the daily chart and the pre-market structure. I really liked what I saw there. So I went ahead and I took my entry as it came back, and kind of tested this first 2-minute candle pivot. It made you know, maybe it'll show it on the 1 minute. No, you still don't quite get it. But yeah, it went up to that pre-market high level and then came back to test, or at least did a pullback to this pivot right here. That's where I took entry. I figured entry here in the high 120s can risk this low of day. Only a 6% um, stop there, and I had eyes on a much bigger move and was going to let it work with the big volume that it had. So I did get kind of tripped out along the way, sold maybe too early on some of it, but that's always hindsight. Um, but when you just see this volume chugging along, EMAs holding true this whole time, um, the first place where this is where I ended up getting out all of my shares after this extension. This red line here is the ending day VWAP level from this big, if you look at the chart without today on it, this is the big obvious day, this huge gap up, massive volume. So like I mentioned in a previous video, this is something that I'm going to be looking for on charts when there's this big obvious day on the daily. I'm going to go ahead and map that out. And, I've been seeing that it's really been well respected on the days that follow. So something that maybe you guys want to try out as well. But obviously strong, like I said, following the 8 the whole time, really not not tricky at all when you look at it in hindsight. But there were a couple of moments where it looked like maybe a fake breakout, dipping back down, but then went ahead and got absorbed back up again. And then here was tricky. I didn't take it on the short side, but I was playing it in my mind. which of course I encourage everyone to do. Gotta, you know, in football and spring camp, they'd call it taking mental reps, and um, yeah, it's good for you. So once I saw this move here, this was an idea for me to get out, but not necessarily a short trigger. But once you got this move, you could start to maybe build a thesis. The nearest daily level is up here at 223 for me, and that is that high of this previous day. So, the best play, obviously, in hindsight, is getting that clear out of that previous high. And once you go back below that the previous high level, you can go ahead and short and risk the high of day. You also had a couple chances, to draw fibs and get a play there. Do this and extend it. So you can either get the 61 fib here, or once we get this bigger move down and a move up here, hit that previous high day level as well. So yeah, just kind of a good lesson here, especially on names that are, showing a crazy personality, a ton of momentum to the long side. No reason to try to get in before it really does hit that obvious daily level. Because once it hits that, it's a clean play on the short side. They drop an offering. This name has a history of dropping offerings. They dropped 3 in 1 week one time, maybe a record for the stock market. So, once you're in short, you can just let this thing work. Um, Respected the EMAs really nicely, and then of course once you get this big offering dump, um, tons of profits by then. So not even hindsight, but a pretty obvious short opportunity up here. Like I said, as long as you're patient, would have paid almost 40% on the short side. So good play there. And speaking of short plays, let's go ahead. We'll go leading gapper today. BPTH. Now we'll start daily chart as always. See, this is one that kind of opens up in no man's land, kind of a base of pivots way below, and some pivots above as well. So what are you doing in this case? When it's gapping 100%, no key levels right below it. That's making me short biased, especially when we are, opening at the very top of the pre-market range. Um, it makes action like this way, way more likely. So, um, another one that, I do kind of regret not taking this on the short side, because this was, exactly what you're looking for. So when you have this pre-market where you kind of get this consolidation and then a move to the upside, and opening at the top of the range, you get a nice spike on really elevated volume here. This had 5 million shares in the first 2 minutes, and a rejection right under this 460 level. Where do we get that from? This down pivot here. More than just a down pivot, it has so many touches. It has one here, two more here, another one here. So really clear and obvious level on the chart on an extended gapper, getting crazy volume at the start. And once you get that rejection of the level, it's as simple as getting in when you see the rejection, putting your stop above the daily level, letting it work, and shooting for that 5-minute 200 on this name. So ended up being, pretty much the kind of price action on the backside of the move that you like to see. It's really predictable. You get this consolidation over a clear level, over this pre-market consolidation of 350 on the chart. Right here, another obvious level. Get this consolidation and a crack through, and then no scare on the backside, just comes up, retest it, and rejects it. So the only thing that would have made this better is if we did get a true 5-minute 200 touch. Sorry, I'm trying to grab this corner. This purple line here is the 5-minute 200, so we don't quite make it down there, and it does rebound a little bit going into the end of day. But say you know, were pretty late on this thing and you kind of just chase it down, didn't wait for a little bit of action on the upside, you just, hit it there. I mean, that's still 30% move to the downside with, like I said, zero scare in the name at all. I haven't done this yet. It doesn't look like it made it. But if we draw these fibs, actually, let me do it on a 1-minute chart just so we know exactly. So if you grab this here, take this down here, yeah, makes it the 50 fib. which, is the bare minimum that you'd want to do on the backside. But with a name like this, where you see here on the 1 minute, it is more clear where you get this move up and then tries again, it gets a fake breakout under a key daily level. So really, you want to grab it as soon as we get under this level for the optimal short. And at that point, you're risking, you know, called 20 cents to make, whoops, 20 cents to make something like $1.60. So, you end up getting like 8R on this name if you played it really well. So, yeah, kind of like I said, predictable names. There's a bunch, as every day, there's a bunch of other gappers. There's GameStop. There's this China name. There's, I have all these lines drawn out because that's the pre-market work going through and just charting things out. But really, as I went through the list, the only name that looked like it had any shot in the pre-market was MBOT. Um, and so it was just really nice for that to really be the only runner of this group. There's a couple other ideas I had going into the day that could still play out. So, kind of looking forward to tomorrow. Let's go for a couple of things I was looking at. So, we'll do NVOS first. Now, if you saw on the when I pulled up my trade, a little MVOS action in the middle, 105 buy, 98-cent sell. What happened there? I pretty much bought the very top right here and just sold it at the low of day. Got stopped out right there. So for this play, like I said, it's a day two play here, and I was looking for continuation. If you look actually before we get there, look at the daily chart. This thing has a history of multi-day runs in a big way. So was hoping for some continuation on that front so we could get a move similar to that. So it was on radar. I even had it in my notes. It was a name to be patient with. And I just was not patient enough. Would have been better to put my notes, wait for afternoon to play. We could have captured same average that I took and got this, afternoon move. Of course, don't think that I would have been holding after hours for that, but could have at least gotten a move from the low ones up to 120 and a 20% move there. So for tomorrow, just going to have to see how this behaves in after hours in the pre-market, but definitely we'll be looking for this to build, whether we're, gapping above and we come back and retest this previous high of day zone, which we got from day one, and of course here in the pre-market as well. Or maybe it is going to stay in this range and we'll maybe get a retest down here of the 110s, maybe even, wouldn't want to see it back down to $1, but yeah, one to watch for sure. And then the other name that I have on watch, I was watching it today, did not trade it, but it kind of ends up in the same place where it started. MNTS. Why am I interested? Because this is a classic liquidity trap. If you look at, what was it, BNAI was the one from last Friday, or maybe it was Thursday, but a liquidity trap that played out. So just in case you're not familiar, idea here, this day had 135 million shares traded. So if people are in a position to the short side, sized up for, hundreds of millions or 100 million shares to be traded, when they get, less than 10% of that, 5% of that approximately, with 7 million shares traded, and now even less today. With 4 million shares traded, when the cover comes in, it can move the stock. So really, I'm watching all of these high of day levels from today, the prior day, and day one. If we do get a move above these highs and some consolidation, I will be looking for that explosive move to the upside. Again, similar to BNAI on at the end of last week. So I believe with those things mentioned, I'll go ahead and call it. Um, you know, not a ton of names moving today, but there was good moves that did happen. You know, some names that were not gappers, AFMD. Then this one was, impossible to catch, but HYW. Both of these are making it onto the watch list for tomorrow to see how they behave. And hopefully we have a good, strong week. So I hope you guys picked the right ponies today, traded well, traded smart, respected your rules, and if you like the content here, feel free to give it a like, subscribe. I used to say I'll do these every day, but I'm not sure how useful it is to do it every day, to be honest. So maybe every day in a smaller capacity or every couple days on the moves that really matter. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope to see you around tomorrow or later in the week. And yeah, have a good one.